A few years back, I was staying at my girlfriend's dad's house with her for a month. It was situated between a large section of woods and a lake. Her dad owned many acres of land, including much of the nearby woods. He even had this little, I don't want to say path, but very narrow clearing in the woods that I'd like to walk through to clear my head. It was this one unnaturally foggy day that I wanted to go for a walk in the woods. I put on my boots that I'd use for hiking and told my girlfriend I'd be back in a little while. She didn't like to walk in the woods, so I'd always do it alone. Walking into the narrow clearing in the woods, I really took in how foggy it was that day. I couldn't see 15 feet in front of me. I hadn't seen it like that in years. In fact, I haven't seen it that foggy since. But as long as I'd stay in the clearing, I'd be able to find my way back. Walking through the clearing, I thought I could hear my footsteps being mirrored, as in synchronized with someone else's steps. So I stopped and listened. This was private property. Nobody should be here except for me. So I calmly called, "Hello?" When I didn't hear any calls back or footsteps, I felt it was safe to continue walking. The woods had a very eerie vibe with the thick clouds of fog floating through the trees. Crunches on the floor of the woods from my boots and the sounds of evening crickets was just about all I heard. A calming vibe. Then I heard it. A moaning-like breathing noise, like an old man moaning in discomfort. This time I knew I wasn't alone. It sounded like someone was hurt. I walked towards the noise, concerned, once more calling out, "Hello?" I stopped when I sharpened my senses a little and noticed the figure of a person standing just far enough away in the fog in front of me where I could see their presence there, but that's just about it. Just a really tall figure in the fog. That was the person making the moaning sounds. I crept a little closer, asking if the person needed assistance, but I didn't exactly get a better view. So I walked a little closer, and still, it didn't feel like I was getting any closer to the person. I yelled this time, and the moaning stopped. I took 2 more big steps this time towards the figure, and that's when I realized that no matter how much I walked forward, this person, this figure, didn't seem to get any closer. I turned around and started walking back through the clearing in the direction of my girlfriend's dad's house. I looked over my shoulder about 5 seconds later and swallowed my gum, seeing that the figure now behind was still the exact same distance it had been this entire time. I started running, heart racing, running short on breath rather quickly. And every time I looked over my shoulder, I saw that figure hovering the same distance behind me. And I use the word hovering now, because I eventually picked up on the fact that I couldn't see the outline of the lower part of the figure's legs. It just looked like this floating apparition in the fog. I eventually made it out of the woods back to the yard of the house. I took one last look at the tree line while it was still in sight through the fog, and I saw the person, figure, apparition, whatever I should call it, right by the tree line. I burst in through the back door of the house, slammed it shut out of breath, and when my girlfriend, her dad, and her brother came in response to my noise, I pointed out into the fog at the tree line, telling them someone or something was following me in the woods, no matter how fast I ran. Her dad put on his shoes and went outside with me real quick. I pointed to where I last saw the figure in the woods, and it was gone. He patted my shoulder and told me I had nothing to worry about. With he and I being 2 6-foot dudes, and with the 2 dogs in the house, no one would be breaking in here. I laughed and pretended for a second as if I wasn't mentally scarred for life from what just happened. I'm not one to believe in ghosts or anything of that nature, but this was definitely the closest thing to paranormal I'd ever experienced. It still sends shivers up my spine to this day.